guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Georgia and I'm a knit and crochet designer, and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful beach dress. This is so easy. I know I say that in all my patterns, but my patterns are for like less is more, you know. I'm a simple person. I like classic designs. I made this about 5 years ago and I take it on every single holiday and I always wear it. It's just like what could go wrong? If you have this, you just chuck it on over a bikini and you're good to go. So you do need to know how to crochet first of all to do this pattern. So you need to know how to chain, how to single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, which I do show you how to do if you're not sure, and that's in US crochet terms, by the way. There is a downloadable PDF pattern for this on my Etsy, which I'll link down below if you prefer like a written format. You'll be pleased to know that there's no gauge in this pattern. So because you can make this with any yarn and any size crochet hook, and it's totally versatile, totally like size inclusive for any body shape. You can make it so that it's perfect for you, which we love. So I actually have two dresses. This is like the first one I ever done. Then I made a green one, and then I've just made another one for the tutorial. I've already made it. So I'll leave on the screen what this yarn is now. And this requires a 2.5mm hook. So, but I used a 4mm hook. So this is a thread weight yarn that recommends a 2.5mm hook. This one takes longer to make. So this is the one I made in the tutorial. And as you can see, the holes are a lot bigger and there's not as many repeats in the pattern. So like where the big holes are, you can see on here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On here there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one was done with a Aran / worsted weight yarn and a 6mm hook, and this worked up so fast. And then this one was worked up with thread weight, a 4mm hook. Takes longer but looks nicer, so it's up to you. I'll quickly just chuck this one on so you can see. So straight off the bat you can see this one is a bit tighter. I am trying to suck in because I just had lunch. This one is a bit tighter, a bit thicker, a bit more holey, so it's got less coverage, but still beautiful in its own right. And it makes two, you know, it makes for two different dresses. So for this one, I'm pretty sure I used 2 balls of the DMC Petra yarn, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know you get like 250 meters of yarn out of 1 ball. And then this one, this is the yarn I used for this cream coloured faster one, and this is Knitting Essentials Natura Cotton, which is actually from Poundland, and I would recommend it. It was actually really good. 100 grams equals 150 meters of yarn, and I used 2.5 balls of yarn, which is around 375 meters of yarn for this. Obviously this is for my size and everything, so take that with a pinch of salt. And this was 85% cotton and 15% polyester, so you do want to use a sturdy cotton yarn. The white one that I did was 100% cotton, and that's just so that like it doesn't have stretch, because if you use wool, first of all it's going to be hot, it will act weird when it gets wet, and over time it will stretch. I mean, this will stretch a little bit anyway, but if you use actual like wool or acrylic, that will just stretch and stretch and stretch and just go out of shape and not look nice. Anyway, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, and I'm always here if you have any questions or you need any help. You can DM me on Instagram, you can message me on Etsy at JeggoCrochet. Hit that subscribe button if you like the video. I appreciate it more than you know. But without any more babbling, let's get crafting. Okay, so I'm going to go over the materials with you. Now, usually this is the yarn that I use. It's called DMC Petra, and this is the number 3, which is the thickest version they do of this yarn, and it recommends a 2.5mm hook, which you can see there. And so this is a thread weight yarn. It's very thin, and I usually use for this pattern this yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. This suggests 2.5mm crochet hook, and I've gone up 1.5 like millimeters as such to a 4mm hook. But I want to show you how versatile this pattern is, so I'm not actually going to use this yarn today. I am going to be using this yarn, which I got from Poundland in the UK. This recommends a 4.5mm hook, so I'll be going up to a 6mm hook, or you know, you can experiment and see what you prefer. But this is a bit of a thicker yarn. I would say this is more like an Aran or a worsted weight yarn, and so you can choose any yarn that you want, and then I would say whatever hook the yarn recommends, go up 1.5mm. So if it recommends a 5mm hook, then go up to a 6.5. If it recommends a 3mm hook, then go up to a 4.5, and so on. Or, you know, experiment and see what works for you. As well as your yarn, you're going to need scissors, a yarn needle, and potentially a measuring tape, depending on what method you go for, which I will explain in a moment. Okay, so in the pattern there are 3 ways to determine your starting chain, and so the starting chain determines how wide your dress is going to be, so the circumference of the dress. And number 1, the first way to determine what the starting chain should be is you need a measuring tape. Now you get your measuring tape, you put it around your body, and now as women, our widest parts tend to be the bust and the hips. So you need to hold your measuring tape, and so here I've got it on 41 inches, and you can see that it goes over my hips easily, and it also goes over my bust easily. So I can slip it all the way up and down my body with ease. If you want it to be baggier, then you can extend your measuring tape a bit more, and you can see now it's even baggier. So that's one way to do it. So then what you would do is, say I've got my 47 inches, I would then grab my yarn and my hook, chain a length that equals 47 inches. Ooh. So you just keep chaining until your chain is the same length as this, and then that's your starting chain. So it doesn't matter on the number, it's more about the measurement. Don't you just hate it when you pull the yarn out the center of the skein and it's like this? So the next way to determine the width or circumference of your dress is to make a chain. So we're not going to do any measurements, we're just going to go right ahead and start making the chain. So I've just started making a chain, and this method is good if you don't have a tape measure. So I've made my chain. Now all I'm going to do is take the chain around my body and hold it so that the ends are together like that. Now, as you can see, it goes over the hips and it easily goes over the bust. So that would be pretty ideal for me. If you want it to be baggier, you can make more chains. If you want it to be tighter, you can make less chain. Okay, so once you have your starting chain, you want to join in the round. So when you join in the round, you want to make sure you don't accidentally twist your chain. So I'm just going to go along the chain and make sure everything is facing the same way. As you can see, it's pretty twisted right now. So just making sure it's not going to be at all twisted for joining in the round. God, it really is twisted today. And this bit is a bit tedious, but it's really worth it. So that's, none of that is twisted. That is the last chain. So I'm going to insert my hook into that last chain and just join with a slip stitch, making sure you don't also twist the like this side. So just yarn over and pull through both loops, and there we have our work joined in the round. Before we get into round one thing I will say is that it may be worth counting how many chains you have in this beginning round, because as we make the dress, we don't increase or decrease at any point. And so you want to make sure that you keep the same amount of stitches in every single round. So if you're not sure how many stitches are in each round, you might accidentally start to decrease or increase. So if you know how many stitches you have in your round, then you can check as you go that you've got the right amount of stitches. But if you're confident in crocheting, then you don't need to do that. Also, you can mark this as the beginning of your round, but again, that's optional. I don't feel the need to do that. I also have this tail here, which to me just indicates the start of each round. In my patterns, chain 1 always counts as a stitch. So we are going to chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet into the next chain. So not in the same one, because this single crochet, this chain 1 counts as the first single crochet. We are going to go into the next stitch or the next chain, because we haven't got any stitches just yet, and we're going to single crochet that stitch, and then we'll go into the next one, single crochet. So you're just going to continue doing that all the way around. So you want to do 1 single crochet in every single chain around, and then when you get to this side, so when you get near to the end of the round, I'll show you how to join in the round. So I've done a single crochet into the last stitch, and that is my beginning chain 1. So in the chain 1, you're going to do a slip stitch. So I insert my hook, yarn over and pull through both the loops, and that is round 1 complete. Now on to the next round. So again, the beginning chain counts as the first stitch. In the next round, we're going to chain 3. Now that is the same stitch. So usually we'd go into the next stitch, but this time around we're not doing that. I know it's confusing, but we're not doing that. We're going to go into the next stitch. So you chain 3, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, skip that one, into that one, and we double crochet. So as you can see, that's like a hole now. Then we chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the next stitch. So that's the same stitch. That's the next stitch, which we're going to skip, and we're going to double crochet into this one. Double crochet in there. So as you can see, we're starting to get a holy appearance. It sounds like I'm saying holy, but you know what I mean, like with holes. Gappy, you know what I mean. So again, I just did that really quick, I'm sorry. So you chain 1, skip the next one, and double crochet into the next one. And if you keep doing that again all the way around, and then I'll show you how to join, because joining as well in this round is ever so slightly different, and this is what it should start to look like. I'm coming up to the end of the round, and now the end of this round will look different for each person. So I don't actually know how mine's going to be, because I haven't done it yet, but you might end up finishing on a double crochet, or you might end up finishing on a chain. So I'm going to finish on a double crochet because my last stitch is there. So I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet into the last stitch in the round, And then what I'll do is I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the second chain in that chain 3 is the chain that we want to join with a slip stitch to. So I'm going to insert my hook into that second chain and join with a slip stitch. And you can see I've accidentally left a loop there, but you can see that them 2 double crochets are together without a chain in between them. Now you might not finish the same as me, you may, so let's just go back, and I've just done a double crochet. Now let's just say you can see I have 2 stitches left in the round, but let's just pretend I only have 1. Let's just pretend there's only 1 stitch left in the round, and we'll just forget this one, okay? So if that's you right now, then you need to chain 1 and then you join with a slip stitch to that second chain in the beginning chain 3. And so obviously mine looks a bit different because I've skipped 2 stitches there, but yours would look more uniform in the way that there would just be like even squares all the way around. So depending on how many stitches you have left and how you know what your last stitch was, depends on what you should do, but always make sure you have the same amount of stitches in every single round so you're not accidentally increasing or decreasing your work. Because if I had have just chained 1 here and joined with a slip stitch, I have decreased by 1 stitch because this chain counts for this stitch, but I've got nothing to count for this last stitch. So I need to make sure I do the double crochet in there so that I am not decreasing in any way, and then join with a slip stitch, which I always struggle to do on camera. Join with a slip stitch to the chain 2. Round number 3 is very similar to round number 2. So what we're going to do is we are going to start off with a chain 2. Now that chain 2 counts as the first stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet into this chain space, so the first chain space from the previous round, and we're going to put the hook straight through. So you don't have to go into the chain, you can go into the chain space, which is underneath all the way around, and then double crochet. From there, chain 1, and then you're going to effectively skip this double crochet and then double crochet into the next chain space. So you go right through that chain space and double crochet. Again, chain 1. So you can see how it's similar to the last round, but we're going into the chain spaces rather than into actual stitches, if that makes sense. Chain 1, double crochet into the next chain space, and when we get towards the end of the round, I will show you how we're going to join, but that is how your work should be looking. So it's kind of like a brick effect. So I'm just coming up to the end of round 3. So I've still got a chain 1, double crochet into the chain space, and where are we? So to finish this round, because I have a double crochet still here that is, you know, doesn't have anything to match it yet. So if I was to join now, I would accidentally decrease. So I need to finish off with a chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the beginning chain 2. Remember, we chained 2 at the beginning of this round, so you just slip stitch to that chain 2. If you did so you basically need to do the opposite of what you did last round. So last round I finished on double crochet, this round I finished on the chain. So if you finished on the chain in the last round, you should be finishing on a double crochet in this round. So like before, if I, let's just pretend that struggling to get my words out. So some of you will finish with a double crochet in the last stitch and then you join with a slip stitch. But that is not the path I am on, because I just did a double crochet, so I need to chain 1, join to the beginning, chain 2. Round 4 is really simple, so we're going to chain 2. Remember, this counts as the first stitch, it counts as a double crochet. You're going to double crochet into this next one here. So if you were to double crochet in there, that would be into the same stitch. We want to go into there, so not in that one, but in this one. It's a really subtle difference, so yeah, just make sure that you're going into the right stitch. And then what we're going to do is double crochet all the way around. So when you get to a chain space, you can just insert the hook straight into that chain space and double crochet, and then into the previous double crochet on round 3, just double crochet into there. So we're just double crocheting into every stitch around, but rather than trying to, like, you can double crochet straight into that chain 1 if you want, but it just gets fiddly, so I just find it easier to just go all the way around the chain space, and that way it's just much faster. Do this all the way around, so you want 1 double crochet in every stitch around. Make sure that you have the right amount of stitches, and then when you get to the end of the round, you just need to join with a slip stitch to the beginning chain 2. This is what mine looks like. So now for round number 5, it's similar to these rounds where we have the holes, but the holes are going to be bigger. So to start off round 5, you're going to chain 5, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to skip the first 2 stitches. So we're going to skip that one, and double crochet, treble crochet into that one. So I've skipped 1, 2, and we're going to go into the third one. So for a treble crochet, you're going to yarn over twice. So you can see I've got the yarn wrapped around my hook twice. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And there we have a treble crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, then yarn over twice, skip 2 stitches, and then treble crochet into the next, like that. Again, chain 2, skip 2, and treble crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 2, and treble crochet into the third. So as you can see, I've started to make holes, but they're bigger holes this time, and so you're going to continue with that all the way around. Chain 2, skip 2, treble crochet, and before you join in the round, I will just show you when I get to the end of the round how to do that. So if you do your treble crochet and you only have 1 stitch left, then only do 1 chain before you join. But I have 2 stitches left, which is perfect because it means everything's going to look really nice and even. So I'm going to finish with chain 2, and then we join to the third chain that was in that beginning chain 5. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, join with a slip stitch to the third chain in that beginning chain 5. Also, I never actually said, but there's 9 rounds that we then repeat, and after we've done 9 rounds, we just repeat rounds 2 to 9. So round 1 was just the row of single crochet all the way around, so you don't repeat that, you only repeat rows, like rounds 2 to 9. So this is round 6. Chain 2 counts as the first double crochet, and now we're going to do 2 double crochets into this chain space, and again I'm just going straight into the chain space and like all the way around it, rather than trying to get my hook into the individual chain. I'm going right into the chain space rather than trying to get fiddly with it. then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, then we're back to a chain space, so 2 double crochets in the chain space, double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the next chain space, and keep doing that. As always, we just repeat all the way around. So that's what it looks like. And then when you get to the end of the row, you're going to join with a slip stitch to that second chain. Okay, so round number 7, we're going to chain 3, and we have already done a round like this before, so skip the first stitch, so that's the same stitch, first stitch, we're going to double crochet into that stitch there, so the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, again chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next stitch, and remember to not accidentally increase or decrease when you get to this end. You know, make sure you've got a stitch that accounts for every stitch in the previous row. So if you finish there with a double crochet, chain 1 and join to the second chain in that beginning chain 3. If you finish with your double crochet here, then just straight away, without doing another chain, slip stitch into the second chain out of that first chain 3. Round 8, chain 2, double crochet in the chain space from the previous round. Again, we've already done this. Chain 1, double crochet in the next chain space, chain 1, double crochet in the next chain space. Do this all the way around. I've already mentioned about joining, so you'll do 1 double crochet in the last stitch and then join to the chain 2 that we did in the beginning, or you might have to chain 1 and then join, depending on what you did in the last round. So the work is looking like this. Finally, round number 9, chain 2 and double crochet in every stitch around, so just like we did before, you can go into the chain spaces and then into the next stitch, continue that around and join with a slip stitch to the beginning chain 2. So now that we've done our 9 rounds, all that you do now is you repeat rounds 2 to 9 over and over again. So the next row would be this double crochet row with the chain 1, and then again on the next row double crochet around, then you've got the big holes, double crochet around, and then the small holes twice, and then double crochet around to finish. So you basically just repeat rows 2 to 9, and I'll leave the info on the screen now so that you know it's easier to follow along so you can read it. And you basically just do that until you get to the length that you want your dress to be. So when you're happy with the length, then you're ready to go on to the next step. So I am going to do that now. I'm just going to keep repeating what we've been doing, rounds 2 to 9 over and over again. You know, keep checking my work as I go, and when you're happy with the length, then you're ready for the next stage. Okay, so here I have the dress, and I didn't do anywhere near as many repeats for this dress than I have done for my previous ones, just because the yarn was so much thicker. Like, it worked up really fast, and I still think it looks really cute. I did get a little bit ahead of myself last night, and I was crocheting late at night, and I forgot that I hadn't actually showed you guys what comes next. So basically, when you get to the length that you want, so as I was making this, I was just slipping it over my body every now and then just to see what the length was like, and when I got to the length I was happy with, I finished off with a round of single crochet in, so you can just see that last row here is a round of single crochet. It doesn't really matter where you finish, but I just wanted mine to be symmetrical, so you can see like the big holes and the big holes here are like, it's like all symmetrical, but honestly it doesn't really matter. So what you do when you've got to the length you want, you chain 1, single crochet all the way around, join with a slip stitch to the beginning, chain 1, and then you just cut the yarn and fasten off. So I'm really sorry that I didn't show you that, but I think you all know how to single crochet around. I have already made 1 strap, and I'm going to show you how to make I'll show you because we need to make 2, so I'm going to make 1 on the camera. Now the thing with the straps, there is actually a couple of different techniques. So this technique, I feel like this one takes longer, but it is neater and looks more professional. So you can see that that is looking like really tidy and neat and uniform, and that is the way that I prefer my straps to look, but it does take longer. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. Now in my pattern it says to chain 300. Now that is obviously with a smaller hook and smaller yarn. So for this one I chained 200, and then you just slip stitch in every single stitch along the row all the way, and then when you get to the end you just fasten off. So the straps are pretty long, but there is a reason for that, and that is because they kind of like double over, and also gives you the opportunity like to crisscross in the back if you want to, or there's different options you can do. There is also another option you can do, which I will show you but I won't be doing. So you can get your yarn and you can take the inner strand, like the strand that comes out of the middle, and then find the strand that is on the outside, so you've got both ends of the yarns. So I've got both ends of the yarns here, and then what you would do is make a slip knot. And then what you would do is, so you've got 2 strands held together, and then you could just literally chain 200 or 300 or however many you want to chain. Just make sure that it's really long. This is probably about 50 inches, I would say. And then using the 2 strands together, you can start to make a really long chain. You want both to be the exact same length. So you can see it started to make like a little plait. And that, like, if you want to be quick, this is genuinely like a great option. It's just I am a weird perfectionist, and I just for some reason really like doing these straps that take way longer. I mean, look, there's hardly any difference. In fact, this easier one probably looks better, but for some reason I'm going to do this one. So if you want to do that one, then go for it. Okay, so now I have 2 beautiful straps. I'm going to take the dress, and I'm just going to zoom you out. If I lay the dress down, you can kind of see down the center of the dress there is a very slight line, and that is where we have joined each round. So this is going to be the back seam. So keeping that in the middle, I'm just going to flip the dress over, and the fasten off strand of yarn can kind of help us where the center is from the back. So you just want to line it up so that that's in the middle. The original chain that we did to start off the project is at the bottom. This is the bottom of the dress, and then where we did the single crochet round and fastened off, that is the top of the dress. Okay, so just keeping everything nice and straight, you're going to grab one of your straps and you're just going to place it so you've got the single crochet row. What you're going to do is, and you don't have to be exact with this, you can count out the stitches if you want, but I kind of just eyeball it, and you're just going to place the strap through one of the holes like that. If you finished on like a double crochet row, you can just fit it through like that. It doesn't matter what one you finished on. If you finished on a big one, just place it through there. And so yeah, I'm gonna go about, so say I'm like kind of just over halfway in between. If this is the middle and this is the end, I've gone just over halfway. I've put it through there, and then I'm going to go into the other side straight through like that. So that is what it looks like. Pull it all the way through, and then all you're going to do, and this depends on how long your straps are and how low down you want your dress to sit and everything, but I'm just going to tie the two ends into a bow like this, and there we have a strap. The strap is like double lined, so you've got 2 straps on the front and 2 on the back like that. And then you can either like undo this and make it tighter, make the straps shorter and the dress will sit higher, or you can do it looser and the dress will sit lower. It completely depends on your preference. So I'm going to go in about here, straight through the other side, pull it all the way through, create a bow, and obviously you want to try and make these the same, like you want each bow to be the same so that the straps are the same length, but you can kind of play around with that. There we have a second strap. How easy is that? So obviously I need to weave in the ends, but there are the straps on there. And then yeah, I'm just gonna weave in the ends and I will try it on. Okay guys, sorry about the bad quality of video right now, but I had to use a wider lens and it's not as good quality, but I just tried to do the straps in a different way and I think I'm kind of obsessed. This is the dress. I'm going to show you the straps the normal way as well in 3, 2, 1. Honestly, the straps are a bit long on me right now. This is a bit low, but because it's like bikini dress, it doesn't really matter. Plus, the higher I take it, the shorter it gets. If you got to the end of this video, well done. If you made the dress, double well done. I would love to see your finished dresses. Make sure to tag me on socials at JeggoCrochet, and my next tutorial coming up is going to be a crochet bikini. When I used to sell finished items on Etsy, this was my most popular thing, like the most thing I ever sold. So I decided that I'm going to share the free tutorial with you on how to make it. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit that like button if you liked the video and subscribe. It means so much to me, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a great day or night wherever you're listening.